Ladies and gentlemen, a very warm welcome and a good evening, and welcome to the Red and Blue Review. I am your host, Nick Philpott. Tonight, as you can see, I'm joined once again from top north by Nigel Croucher, Eden Nige.
Good evening.
How you doing, buddy?
Very well. Looking forward to getting a little bit of freedom tomorrow.
Bit of freedom tomorrow. Oh, are you going to the pub?
No, going to swim baths.
Oh, right. And from top north to the other side of the globe, Tim Richards. Welcome back, Tim. How you doing, mate?
All right, Nick. How are you, sir?
All right, buddy. Is it Christchurch you're at? Christchurch
Yeah.
you're in? Christchurch in New Zealand. Look at this. Technology at its best. Okay. And as you can, ladies and gentlemen, as you can remember from a couple of shows ago, we were putting an appeal out to other demographics from society that we want to come and join the team. And I am delighted to be absolutely delighted to be welcoming you to Harvey Jennings to the team. Harv, welcome to the Red and Blue Review, mate.
Thank you. Good evening. How's everyone doing?
Yeah, we're all good, man. All good. Thank you for agreeing to join us. Coming up on tonight's show, we're going to be finding out a little bit more about our Harv, okay? And even though he needs a lockdown haircut, we're going to be discussing a little bit about the operating loss that was announced by Kieran Maguire for the price of football shortly. I suppose we're also going to have to touch on yesterday's shit show from Selhurst Park. A few questions from the audience. And so get your questions in the comments box below. I can see you all in there now. I'm expecting nobody to come and join us this evening, very simply because of yesterday's disastrous performance, and it really was crap. So, and I was hoping to get some guy from the States to talk about a football app called Chant. Okay, have a look at it on the App Store, CHANT Chant. And you'll see Red and Blue, and then like the Red and Blue review page that's on there. So, right, we're going to kick off, if you don't mind. Harvey Jennings. Harvey, tell the world about you, okay? Tell the world about how we know each other, and tell the world about what we do most Saturdays.
All right. Well, first of all, we know each other. I'm good mates with your eldest son, Sam. So we went to school together, played football together when we were kids. And then I got my first season ticket. Well, actually, very luckily, I got my first season ticket in our promotion season. So I went to quite a few games the season before, where we finished, I don't know, 18th or something, didn't we? And so I don't know what inspired me to get a season ticket, but anyway, I did, and luckily we went up, and that was my been a season ticket holder ever since. So yeah.
And for Harvey's point, for everybody else's point of view, like I said, I've got to know Harvey quite well over the years, and he is a highly knowledgeable Palace fan, a serious Palace fan. He knows more about the intricacies of the game than I'll ever know, and I'm about to be condescending at his young age, and I don't mean it that way, but you know, for somebody of your age bracket, I've been watching football for 40 years. You haven't, okay? And your knowledge of our style of football, the way we play football, how the manager sets us up, our different lineups every week is outstanding. So well done, mate. And I say thank you for joining us, and thank you for agreeing to be a part of the team. Ladies and gentlemen, also before we carry on, don't forget you can also find us on all your favourite podcast channels. We're on Twitter, YouTube, or simply ask your smart speaker to play the latest Red and Blue Review podcast, and up will pop. If you are listening to this as a podcast, as opposed to the live show, so if you're listening to this on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, during the week, please make sure you jump onto the Red and Blue Review Facebook page and like the page. That's the critical bit, that you like the Red and Blue Review Facebook page, because if you do, every time we go live, you get a notification. As tonight, you'll get a notification that we're live, giving you the opportunity to watch us as live, as opposed to a podcast. Okay, so, or finally, the best way of doing it, go to the Red and Blue Review .co.uk website page, and all our entire back catalogue is on there. Okay, so Harv, tell them about the first away game that we went to together.
So the first away game, that was also in the promotion season. That was Leicester away. That was a great game, really, wasn't it? We won. I remember we won 2-1. Both our goals from the centre backs, Delaney and Ramage, scored, and then I'm pretty sure they scored right at the end. I think it was back to the wall for most of the second half, and they scored right at the end, and we didn't have too much time to hold on, so it was all good. I think we won 2-1, so that was a a good day out. Yeah.
So yeah, and it was a pleasure to have you there, mate. And we've done loads of games together since, and I know going forward, in fact, we may as well touch on it. Going forward, we're going to be doing many again, because obviously the season tickets have been released this week. So Harvey and I do joint season tickets with a couple of my boys. So if you haven't renewed your season ticket so far, ladies and gentlemen out there, please make sure you do so. Boys, Nigel, I'm going to come to you very quickly. And Tim, can you see the people saying good evening to everybody in the chat? If you can, say some hellos for me.
Yeah, right. It's we've got Simon Cheeseman on, Richard Harvey, Mark Johnson, Andrew Adams, Paul Glass.
Noble's out. I see Mr. Noble's out there. Ian,
Yeah,
good
Mr.
evening,
Noble.
mate. Phil Usher.
And Ian Lyons. Good evening, Ian.
Oh,
how you doing?
So the boys aren't free to come on the show this evening, okay? But they're free to watch us trip over and everything else. So yeah, we'll be getting
pick and choose the good and bad matches, don't they? We know who they are.
Exactly. Glory Hunters, old Glory Hunters, which is why Halves joining us. So I suppose we better get into it. Oh no, I'll tell you what we'll do first. We're going to do the price of football. So, ladies and gentlemen, friend of the show, Kieran Maguire. I'm sure you remember him. He's been on 2 or 3 times. Extremely knowledgeable about everything to do with football finance. He's tweeted out this week that, and I'll read you what he says. The price of football, and he's at Kieran Maguire if you want to follow him, and he's well worth a follow. Crystal Palace lost £58 million in 13 months to July 2020, so till the middle of last year. Wages were 93% of our income. This is from the club's statement. Full accounts will be published shortly. He's also commented on there, you can't draw too many conclusions. Bear in mind, this is up. So this is 1920. This doesn't cover COVID yet. Okay, it's up to the middle of last year. You can't draw too many conclusions from these figures. Some clubs publish 12 and some clubs publish 13 months figures. Best to look over the 1921 in due course when they're released. Sheffield United's figures showed the importance of the final league position. Some may be surprised at Palace's gross wages against West Ham, but after adjusting the 12 months average weekly wage is lower at just under 57,000 a week, which is up 1.3% in a decade, which is not very high. It's also said Palace's figures in brackets aren't quite comparable with others. They show that out of the 17 Premier League clubs have reported to this day a collective operating loss of, what is that figure, Nigel? Can you see that figure? 1,000 million quid. Or you're talking telephone numbers that all clubs are operating huge losses in the Premier League, but Palace is right smack in the middle of it. So it's nothing to be overly concerned about, is what Kieran's saying.
We're the same in those tables we are the football table, mid-table.
Mid-table, lower mid-table.
Yeah.
Do you boys, okay, I'm talking to you collectively here, 53 million loss, okay? We know that we have, whatever it is, 11 players out of contract. We know we have a manager out of contract. How do you think that those sort of figures are going to influence any potential incoming manager to come and join us when he knows that, the club... whispers have been bounded around this week that we've got a transfer budget of 50 million quid coming for this close season. Now that's going to be replacing, I don't know, half a dozen players. Some of them are going to sign extensions, of course. Tim, I'll come to you. I mean, it's a very low 50 million quid. You're not going to get very much for 50 million quid, are you?
No, you're not. But then you're not going to get it. It's a tricky one. You're not going to get much money, but then most clubs are going to be like that this season. How it will affect the manager coming in, I don't think we will. I reckon Hodgson will stay for another year. With the board that we've got, with their low expectations, and because of COVID and because of money, I think he should go. But I think it'll be a status quo for next season. Hopefully, stay up next season and then look to progress from there.
I'm shocked at that. Okay, and that's the reason why you're on the show. You're giving a balanced view. Harvey, your current thoughts on Roy Hodgson and the actual. Let's do the playing squad as well. Your thoughts, please.
Well, first of all, on Roy, I would say that obviously it's the most cliched thing ever. He guarantees you survival, doesn't he? But it's pretty pretty tough to watch at times. Well, I say at times, it's pretty much all the time. It's quite tough to watch. So as for him staying, I would not be in favour. I think it's probably time to move on, especially in terms of you mentioned so many players out of contract, and also the fact that the squad is ageing. There's a massive rebuild needed at the club, and I think I just don't think he's the person for that. I think we need a younger, fresher manager, because obviously, like I say, it's a huge job to take on in terms of all the outgoings and all the incomings that will be needed to replace that. So I do think we need a younger, fresher manager in for that. As for who that could be, who knows?
You got any thoughts on that subject? I mean, obviously, you got your favourites that have been bandied about, like Dyche and who else has been, and the Southampton guy. Sorry, the Portsmouth guy. No, or the Bournemouth guy. Eddie, what's his name? Eddie Howe?
Eddie
Howe, yeah.
What's your thoughts? I mean, I'd love to know it from a younger person's perspective. What do you think for the future?
Well, there's one name. So I'm in a group chat with a few Palace guys my age, and there's one name that we always chuck about, and I've no idea how realistic this is. But Rafa Benitez is always one that we talk about. I mean, I like I say, I don't know how realistic that is based on his credentials, but purely just on the fact that he's just been at a similar kind of level club in terms of Newcastle. I think he'd be great for us. But yeah, I don't want to say too much more on that because I can't really judge how realistic that is.
I think he would be an expensive option, and Harv, you and I have not spoken about that subject, okay? And out of everybody that's been bandied about, Rafa Benitez to me would be it wouldn't be the icing on the cake; it would be the cherry on top of the icing on top of the cake.
Yeah, no, I agree.
I actually think it is a great shout. If only we could afford something like that. But I haven't heard that the club are connected. Ladies and gentlemen, out in Facebook land, your thoughts on what Harvey's just said? Would Rafa Benitez be a good fit? Say again.
Frank Lampard. For me.
Of course, Frank Lampard's been bandied around as well. Ladies and gentlemen in Facebook land, your thoughts, please. Yeah, Harvey's just suggested Benitez. Could you're just a fat Spanish waiter, says Mr. Noble. Okay. Anybody else got any thoughts on Rafa Benitez to join the club?
Yeah, I'll give you my thoughts.
Yeah, go for it.
Right. While Mike Ashley is in charge of Newcastle, Rafa's not coming back here. If Ashley suddenly sells Newcastle, Rafa is coming
back to the town. Is that a fact? Well, the
fans are absolutely gasping for him.
I love him.
He'll never come back under Ashley. But I honestly think new owners, he would be straight back to Newcastle. He loved them. They loved him.
Matty Cannon saying in the chat, if you want to be safe, play like we are playing, which to me is completely inconsistent, you stick with Roy. If you want to play some more exciting football, we need to change, and that may well have been change Roy. Surely he's got more than one. Sorry, the chat's moving as I'm talking. More season in him anyway. Lamps is the man for me, says Matty Cannon. Colin Squires, I can see out there. John Cook, I can see you. Chris Wood, welcome. Neil Chatterjee, hello buddy. Georgia Wagwu, Brian Oates, each and every one of you. Greg Ellis, we miss you, mate. Come on the show. Get your backside back on the show. Lee Lockwood, all of you. Leon Sounds, there's loads of you out there. I'm amazed how many people are watching the show live, very simply because of yesterday's, I won't say it again, but poor performance, let's say. Okay, right. So Palace started the game aiming for their fourth successive top-flight clean sheet at home for the first time since 1992. They spent the majority of the game simply trying to keep the scoreline respectable, which is true. With 38 points, 12 more than 18th place Fulham. Okay, Fulham, they lost to Wolves on Friday night, didn't they? Roy Hodgson's side will not be going down this season, but the ex-England boss will want to see his side compete better over their remaining fixtures. We know that they are a good side, he said. Everybody knows that, but we can't afford to play the way we did in the first half. Both of the two goals came about through balls lost near our own goal, and suddenly we find ourselves. They find themselves 2-0 up after 10 or 11 minutes. We need to defend well and make good decisions. Well, we'll talk about that in a minute. And I also want to talk about Gyro, gentlemen, in a minute. How many teams can come back from 3-0 down against Chelsea team? Asked Roy Hodgson. To give some credit to our players, they did better in the second half. They showed some fight in them, but the bottom line is we played against a Chelsea team that believed they could we could stretch, and simply we couldn't do that. And so we needed some last defending. So 4-0 final result. Boys, we're going to do the lineup Nige next, okay? But before we do, I want to spend 2 minutes talking about Gyro. Now, I'm a big fan. I was a big advocate of Gyro Riedewald, and I've got him here somewhere. But he had the most appalling game yesterday. I don't know if Nige, have you seen those stats on?
I've seen. I haven't got them in front of me. But
okay, while you're
I
doing
think it was about one interception, and that's about it.
He had, to me, he is the sort of guy where, actually, in fact, I've just found them. Okay, according to SofaScore, whoever they are, Riedewald just one out of his attempted 3 duels, whether that be in the air or on the ground. Frustratingly for the former Ajax man, who is paid approximately 55 grand a week at Selhurst Park, he only contributed 1 single solitary tackle, whilst not providing a single interception, block or clearance. That's also according to whoscored.com. As Chelsea continued to cut the Eagles to ribbons, meanwhile, he also wasted the ball on numerous occasions, as he had just 28 touches, fewer than Vicente Guaita, and completed just 20 passes throughout the entire game. Only Wilfried Zaha completed fewer passes out of the players that started for Palace. Gyro Riedewald, your thoughts on Gyro, please, Harv.
I think he's a very, very good player. He's still very young. He's one of the guys I think we need to. I wouldn't not build the squad around, because I don't think he's quite that good, but he's definitely a guy that we want to keep around for a long, long time. Go back to what I said earlier about we've got an aging squad. Him and Eze and Tyrick Mitchell are probably 3 of the only young guys we've really got in the squad. So I think we need to persist with him and build a squad with him. I think yesterday it's not easy. It's never easy playing against Chelsea anyway, obviously. And particularly with that formation, only playing two centre mids against who do they have? They had Kovacic, Jorginho. They're some really good players, and obviously it wasn't his day yesterday, but I think we definitely got to persist with him.
Tim, you had your hand up.
No, I was just checking something on a note. That's all good.
Okay, right. And so going to the lineup then, please, Nige.
Right. So, as I predicted on here myself on Tuesday night, Roy would stick with the same team. So in goal we had Guaita. Running across the back we had Ward, Czech K80, Cahill, and Van Aanholt. In the middle we had Ayew, Luca, Riedewald, and Eze. And up front they decided to go with Benteke and Zaha.
Okay, Tim, give us a thoughts on the game.
So you asked me last night to bring up some notes. So we're going to spend all night doing notes for this, but then you said do it quick because it was a crap. So the game started. I wasn't particularly happy with the lineup, but not surprised. What were you changing the lineup then? PVA, Ayew, and Luca. I wouldn't have played. This goes back to Hodgson, and like I said in the chat last night or yesterday, I've been in a real seesaw with Hodgson this year. Should he stay? Should he go? But yesterday or the last couple of weeks has confirmed it for me, because he's had options. You know, you've got PVA who wants to go. Why keep playing him when you've got Mitchell that is back fit? Ayew, I don't really rate him. Luca, I don't think there's another team in the Premier League that would have kept playing a captain who's so out of form. But anyway, the game started. Right from the get-go, Chelsea were at it. Mason Mount, the other players that you can't pronounce, Rudiger, Chilwell, Jorginho, were at it right from the get-go. And we just couldn't be bothered. We just couldn't live with them. We didn't press them. The first goal came on 8 minutes. Havertz, Eze again lost the ball in a silly place rather than just clearing it. And again, but then if you had a look, there were 5 or 6 Palace players in the penalty area, but he still got the ball. He still had time to turn, and a great finish, bottom left-hand corner, 1-0. Kick-off. You'd have hoped we would have learned, but no, doing the same mistakes.
Before we go to the second goal, I just wanted to pick up on something that, at that point. I mean, and as you say, it was they played some nice one stuff, football into the box, okay, good finish, and all the rest of it. Did you notice? Did any of you boys notice that Cahill turned around and absolutely roasted both Eze and Riedewald for letting him get the ball through? Because you're right, because there was Riedewald, Eze, and Van Aanholt all out there, okay, and they just walked through us. And Cahill went. He did it. He did it later on for one of the other goals, but he went absolutely ballistic at him. Sorry, mate, for interrupting. Carry on.
Yeah, no, but that's very true. But then that was the whole first half. You would have hoped we learned, but then 10 minutes, goal number 2, lost the ball again further up the field, comes back again, some nice one-touch stuff. The Palace players just kind of standing, looking around, put the ball through, and again, a good finish from Pulisic, or however you pronounce his name.
Yeah, Pulisic,
a great finich. You can't argue against it. Kick off again, and again, you got Mason Mount in the middle, Jorginho just laying the ball. Going on to Gyro, I hear what people say, but I feel so sorry for the guy because he's the one that's stuck in the middle having to cover Luca, constantly giving the ball away. I'd like to see Luca's stats because I don't think they were much better than Gyro.
I haven't seen him actually. I don't know, while he's chatting, I don't know if you can find him, Nigel.
I'll have a shift it.
Yeah, but then goal 3 on 30 minutes. Again, we lost the ball. I think it was Ayew. Wasn't surprised you lost the ball. Led to a free kick. Czech didn't have much option. He had to bring the guy down. Great delivery. Lovely ball. I think it was Mason Mount. Knocked the ball across. And Zuma out-jumped Cahill. One of those things, great delivery, great finish.
I'm going to interrupt you, if you don't mind, Tim, because I was actually watching the game with my other son, my third son, that you never hear me talking about, because he's obviously the black sheep of the family, and he's a Chelsea fan. So James has actually said to me 2 minutes before that, what I'm looking for, Dad, is I hope we, being Chelsea, get a free kick down either side one of your boxes. He said, you watch Zuma out-jump both your centre-backs. And do you know what? Then the whistle went, as you say, Kawase brought him down. Great ball in from Mount, okay. And Zuma just climbed out of nowhere. And again, Cahill stood there berating everybody else, but he was marking Zuma. Sorry, mate, I interrupted you again. Go for it.
That's all right. The only, bright spark of the first half, but we had one break where Ayew broke into the penalty area. Good run. Should have had a shot, but he tried to cross the ball. So basically, that was the first half, done and dusted. Really poor, no pressing. The same that we've seen so many times this season. Exactly the same kind of performance. Second half started bit better, pressing, actually doing what we've done in the first half. Wilf tried to get in the game, but again, yesterday, Wilf cemented to me why he should go. Love the guy.
We're going to do that. We'll do that shortly.
Right,
by the way,
sorry.
Tony Quinn's just answered your question for you, Tim. Tony Quinn in the chat says Luca's pass success was 84%, 43 accurate passes. Thank you, Tony. Appreciate that, mate.
I'd like to know how many of those were back or across rather than forward. But,
you see, you didn't ask for that. You asked what his success was.
But so that's the first half. Second half, as I said, we started. Bit more success, bit more pressing, a bit more at it. I felt sorry for Benteke because, again, as Ian, His Royal Highness, the Prince of Lions, says many times, what's the point of having Benteke out front if you don't cross the ball? Then substitutes. I give Roy's credit. He actually did look to make some changes. So 59th minute, although he brought McCarthy on and Schlupp, I think it was for Eze, and I forget the other one who went on, Gyro.
Gyro went off, yeah.
Again, why he took Gyro from not Luca, but there we go. But Schlupp, incredibly underrated player for me. Every time he plays, he puts a real shift in, and he actually looks like he cares and wants to play. So Schluppy came on, and again, not straight away, but I think it was 8 minutes afterwards. Schluppy gets down, crosses the ball, and Benteke scores. There you go. You get the ball in. That's what happens.
Beat the beast.
And then 76 minutes, Starman came on for Ayew, which, again, for me, I would have liked Townsend to start. I think he's very unfortunate not to be starting the games. He's got far more ability on the ball than Ayew. He puts a shift in as well, and he can cross the ball. Then we had, let me see, the 78th minute, their fourth goal, Pulisic again. Once again, PVA out of position. Again, ball comes across and scrambled in. And then it just kind of petered out from there. Wilf complaining again as usual. There you go.
And I think it's interesting, Tim. Thanks for that, mate. I think it's interesting. If you remember what Gel's been saying and advocating for weeks now, rinse and repeat, rinse and repeat, rinse and repeat. It is his PVA out of position. Luca losing the ball. Zaha not interested. Interesting what the guys are saying in the chat about Zaha. Laurie Scott has actually mentioned Zaha, and he says nobody wants him now, and we certainly won't get much for him now anyway. A diminishing asset, and probably not cost effective to let him go. He was not involved in the game yesterday. I think you'd agree, Harv. And when he was just moaning. Nothing was going his way. Thoughts on Zaha and the potential sale of Zaha? Is he going to go? Will he stay? What's your thoughts?
Well, as for yesterday, yeah, I mean, he's always been a very passionate player, and any time he gets fouled, he always gets up and has a scuffle or whatever. He's always very passionate. But yesterday and the last few weeks, it's just looked more frustration than passion. I think he's very, very frustrated with the way that we're playing, the way that the others are playing around him, and you kind of see him waving his arms when there's an overhit pass or something, or they don't pass to him or whatever. He waves his arms and he looks very, very frustrated, and he just wants to leave, which is fair enough. He's a much better player than.
What do you reckon would be his market value now, Harv? Bear in mind he's now 28.
Yeah, I don't know.
So 3 years ago, we were looking for to get a minimum of 80 million quid.
Well, that's
obviously
with
COVID and everything else, where would we be now?
That figure of 80 was there, and now I think we'd be lucky to get 40. Just in terms of his age, the fact that it's so evident that he wants to go. There's not really much power. We don't really have much negotiating power on our side of things because he's so desperate to go.
Yeah, Nigel, coming to you for some stats in a second. So I've got a bit of news from the club in case nobody's actually noticed it in the small print anywhere. But a big shock to everybody, a massive shock to everybody. There was an admission from the bench yesterday. Connor Wickham wasn't on the bench. I've got some news. He's injured again. Connor Wickham had a knock, was the official line. But if you look at the times, he's been out over the course of time. One of the knocks, I think he was out for 4.5 months. Okay. And that was the first bit of news. The other bit of news that I didn't know about until this afternoon was Mamadou Sakho and James Tompkins are both back in training again. So it does give us some options for the fairly tough running that we've got going towards the end of the season. So
the other thing is Ferguson's injured again.
Ferguson, and that is more of a. I was only jesting about Wickham, of course. Wickham is injured, but he's no loss. I think the Ferguson thing is setting a worrying tone, Nigel, don't you?
I think so. He's been with us. Well, he joined in July last year, didn't he?
Just short of a year,
and he's been injured since a year gone January.
Well, we bought him knowing he was injured and still recovering from the big injury. But to break down without playing a game for us, I think this is a bit, you'll be quite concerning. I can see one gentleman in the chat from Chant, the app that we were talking about, guys. Tom, if you see the link, click on the link, please, mate, and please, by all means, pop on. You'll be met in there by our producer Lucy, and she'll talk you through what we're going to do, and she'll let me know whether you managed to get through or not. So that's Tom at Chant. Click on the link and come say hello to us. It's a bit of a worrying time as far as Wickham, to me, needs to go. We need to save the 60 grand a week. So, boys, Sacco and Tompkins coming back. Would you substitute either of our currency, or would you leave it as it is?
Yeah, I'll put Czech back in the middle, drop Luca, and bring Tompkins back in. Yeah,
again, same thoughts. I think it was Ian Lyons last week said something similar. Nice, some stats from the game, please.
Right. Well, the first half we were statless, and the only stat we've got from the first half was we had 33% possession. Everything else was a big fat 0. By the time we got into the second half, it was a slight improvement to us. We crept up to a 36% percentage. We had just one shot on goal. That was also a shot on target, which just happened to be Benteke's goal in the 63rd minute. Total shots, Chelsea had 23. Palace had 10. And at the moment, we're still waiting for our first corner kick from last night.
Really?
Yeah,
I didn't realise that.
Corner. A few facts that sort of came after yesterday's match. Palace have now conceded 52 league goals this season, which is 2 more than we did in the entire of last season. But against that, we've scored 33 Premier League goals, which is already 2 more than we managed last season. So we're scoring more, we're letting more in. So we're still saying at the moment we're on the same goal difference.
But don't forget, and this is supposed to be with a defensive-minded manager as well.
Yeah, exactly.
Just a load of crap.
And we've lost each of our last 7 Premier League games against Chelsea. And none of the last 20 Premier League meetings between Palace and Chelsea have ever ended in a draw.
Really? Is that right?
Yeah.
Blimey.
So that's about it, really. Yes, it's diabolical performance.
Say that again, Tim.
No, I was just thinking about Wilf. And to be fair, is anyone surprised at him getting so frustrated with the way we've been playing for the last couple of years? Yeah. As a creative player, he's seeing what the rest of us are seeing, and that any creativeness is being trained and crushed out of them. So, he
does look as though. I think your analogy is probably spot on. He does look as though, and Harvey used the word frustrated. He does cut a frustrated figure at the moment, and he does. But he just looks as though they're draining the life out of him. They're absolutely draining the life out of him.
And I think they're starting to drain the life out of Eze as well.
Yeah, that's what I was just saying. Yeah.
And that's the bit that worries me for the future. I mean, if you listen to Hodgson's post-match news conference, we'll move on to some questions in a minute. But if you listen to Hodgson's post-match conference last night, he did mention that there was a bit of a battleground in the changing room at half-time. There was lots of heavy stuff said. And do you know what? I don't want to hear it at half-time. It's the old story, isn't it? We play shit in the first half. They get a bollocking after. Harvey, how many times have we said this standing on the homestyle? And then second half they come out and play well. It's just why can't we start on a positive? Why can't we do against Chelsea what West Brom had done the week before and gone for it from the very first kick of the game? They closed them down. They got at them. They were attacking our narrowness all the time. Every attack, they were attacking. We were playing narrow. They were playing against our and as one of the boys just pointed out, PVA out of position again. Yeah, why can't we set up like that at the start of the game half?
Who knows? I mean, I think our tactic against the big team, is to just keep it 0-0 for as long as possible, isn't it? I mean, the Man United game is a good example where, I mean, Man United were really poor that night, and we were pretty poor too. But the fact that we frustrated them and actually led to us managing to snatch a point, whereas yesterday that tactic of trying to keep it 0-0 for as long as possible didn't really work, did it? As soon as we were 2-0 down inside 10 minutes, but the trouble is, I mean, we're not a free scoring side, are we? So once we're 2-0 down, the game's pretty much done.
Which is what the manager alluded to as well.
Yeah. So, to answer the question, I don't know. I don't know. We just have to defend better, don't we? But I mean, we have done it at points this season. Bring up the Man United game again, the 0-0. We defended pretty well there, but then there's been so many examples where we've defended terribly.
Villa,
Yesterday is
Liverpool,
one. Villa, even Everton last week. I mean, we were very, very lucky that Everton finished poorly last week. I mean, Guaita made quite a lot of saves against Everton, but I don't think he made any amazing saves. It was all kind of Calvert-Lewin had a few one-on-ones straight at him, and it was one of them where if Calvert-Lewin was more clinical, we'd probably lose that game 4-1 as well.
Indeed. Right. Okay. So what's up next for Palace? Well, again, we've just come off a bit of a break. I think it was nearly 4 weeks since we kicked the ball. Crystal Palace have a bit of time off, playing next at Leicester in the Premier League in an 8 o'clock kickoff on the 26th of April. Where are we now? It's only the 11th of April today, isn't it? 26th of April is our next game.
Monday night.
The Monday night football. So we really do have another bit of a gap. Nigel, can you just keep your eye on the chat? I just want to pick up on a couple of things on there. It was from Ian Noble said, back in the day when he was a nipper, I think the whole world was in black and white when Ian Noble was a nipper. So, it was pounds, shillings and pences when he was what he's talking about. He was saying that a 4 and 5-1 defeat against Chelsea was the norm. It was the expected norm. These days, obviously, it's not quite the case. But Greg Ellis is saying a squad is like an old banger that will fail its next MOT. They've done well, but they're ready for the scrap meet. Lots of negativity out there. I understand why. Listen, we are safe again. We're going to extend our record in the Premier League, but this really is going to be a season of change. And I don't know where it's going to go. I don't know where it's going to go for the season. See anything else in the chat, Nigel?
I said Graham Daniels. I really thought that now we have 38 points, tactics would change. We would start playing like we did against Everton. Obviously,
let's pick up on that. Then, Tim, this time last year we were in the same position. We were safe, and we ended up going on a horrific run following safety. History repeating itself, isn't it?
I can't see it with the current coaching setup we've got. I can't see it being any different. Hodgson lost the change room, I reckon, ages ago. I just don't think it'll be any different with Safe. The players don't really care anymore. They know that a lot of them are going to leave, aka PVA. Why should they try? They don't care. They've got their futures ahead of them. I think it'll be exactly the same as last year.
Okay. Somebody's raised the question. This is pre-show. Andrew Adams, I think it was, that wrote this. Benteke, Ward and Guaita were our standout players yesterday by a mile. I personally think that this is from Andrew. I personally think that Benteke has earned another season extension on his contract. I watched Wilf, and we've already mentioned this, frustrated, poor passes by Ayew, PVA pretty much out of position. Benteke passes today were all on point. So, and of course, he scored a very good goal. Has he done enough, gentlemen, in your mind, to have his contract extended, even though obviously we're going to have to sort out his wages a little bit, maybe renegotiate his wages down? Harv, to you first, mate.
Short answer would be yes, I would keep him on. Reasons, that the answer to that question has changed many, many, many times. When he was never scoring a goal, I was just thinking to myself, please, please, please drop him. Please don't play him, blah, blah, blah. But then he just pops up with a goal here and there. I mean, obviously the Brighton goal was just an incredible moment. And even yesterday, I mean, he was extremely isolated. We had hardly any possession. We had pretty much nothing going forward. But we stick one cross in the box and he scores from it. So I think if we were to play a style where we really let our wingers express themselves and could get crosses into the box and actually play a formation and a style of play which would suit Benteke, then absolutely 100% I'd keep him on, because he's proven in the past. I know it was a few years ago now, but he's proven in the past that he can and he will score goals.
Absolutely a confidence, mate. Ladies and gentlemen, that was the words of Harvey Jennings. Please give us your thoughts in the chat. What's Harvey saying? Do you agree with what he's just said? Because I think I do, literally verbatim. So your thoughts on what Harvey's just said. Okay, so where was I going to go next? By the way, Andrew Adams has just threatened me with legal action, saying that wasn't him that asked that question in the chat. It was somebody else. So, Andrew, I apologise. Boys, with season tickets released this week, who's confident that come the start of the season, it will be safe to return? To add to that, we will have those who have been vaccinated, and more importantly, those that haven't. So it will be interesting to see how the club deals with that. Do you think you're going to have to show your COVID passes, boys? Do you think it's safe to go? Do you think we'll be wearing masks? Nigel, starting with you.
I believe we're getting towards the end of the tunnel now with COVID. If everybody behaves properly, I think we can come out of it, and hopefully by early August, I reckon the season's going to kick off. Everybody will have had at least the first jab, and I think we're a long way towards getting it. Might have to be slightly reduced attendances to start with, but I think definitely by the end of next season it'll be back to a full house.
Okay, Tim, I know you're 7,000 miles away in Christchurch, but and I don't know what the situation is down in Christchurch. But do you think we'll be back in the stadium next season with or without masks?
I hope so. Yeah, it's been a bit out of it for us down here. We've been going to live sport for months. To be fair, we've kind of we've been fortunate and not had the same degree of lockdown that you guys have had. I hope so, because I think football's really missed it. So I hope you guys are, and I hope that we can get back. We should have been back last year, but couldn't come back. So let's hope they do. Yeah.
Okay. So do you think? And are you planning on coming over at all between now and then?
Yeah. Well, as soon as we can travel, I think we'll be getting the jab July. So I'm hoping that for next season we can get our trip back. But as soon as we get the vaccine and we're allowed to travel, then we'll come back.
Cool. So where should we go next? So question from the audience. So should Roy stand aside now for the last few games and maybe go with something like Paddy McCarthy to step in and blood some of those youngsters? We can invest all we want in the academy and even be top of the table. But unless those youngsters get a chance to see the first team, then as soon as another club comes in, they'll walk away for a stupid fee. Anybody?
Yesterday we had the young kid on the bench, and again, not even did he even warm up during the match. I think Roy's got this mindset in his head. If I pick them, put them on the bench, it's going to keep them happy. It's not going to keep them happy. They're going to want to get on the bench and they're going to want some game time. I say, well, we've got Roy in charge doing that. It's not going to happen. So Perrett played last season. I was at Norwich when he came on. He had a cracking last 15 minutes, and that's about all we saw of him last season. And now he's gone up to Scotland out on loan until the end of the season. So things need to change.
Tim, I've just got to tell you, going on in the background, I don't know if you're reading the chat, but there is a gentleman waiting to come and join us from the Chant website. I'm going to let you go now because I'm conscious it's Monday morning your time. Am I right?
It is, yeah.
Get to bloody work, you lazy sod. Okay.
Yes.
Listen, mate. As always, great to have you on board. Lovely seeing you. And I'm going to say goodnight to you because I need to bring this chap in. So, Geezer, I'll talk to you during the week. Yeah, and thank you for joining us.
Yeah. Goodbye, Ron. Cheers.
Yeah, see ya.
Cheers, mate. Thank you. And Lucy, feel free to bring Tom up whenever he's free. So, ladies and gentlemen, I'm delighted to introduce you to Tom from Chant. Tom, good evening, mate. Good afternoon. I assume it is where you are.
Thanks, Nick.
Where are you in the world, mate?
Well, I'm the representative Yank in the group. I'm based in Atlanta, in the United States. I'm a little bit of a Newcastle fan, but please don't hold that against me. So.
Okay, well, producer Lucy, you can bin him off now because he's a Newcastle. Ladies and gentlemen, in case you're wondering why he's come to join us, well, I got contacted by Tom earlier in the week. It was actually the week before, I beg your pardon, talking about an app called Chant. Please tell us all about Chant.
Yeah, thanks so much. I'm only a Newcastle fan as I hosted a soccer coach from England for a year. He lived with us for a year. He was kind of like a son for me, and he was a Newcastle fan. I felt it was the only authentic way to pick a Premier League team. I didn't want to just follow the rest of the masses and pick the best team. So I've been through it all now. I've been through relegation. I've come back up. I've seen Rafa coach. You all, there you go. There's Chance. And then you all took Miguel Almiron from us, my home team, Atlanta United here. So I have the connections. But
indeed.
For the record,
in the UK, it's got to be football, not soccer. Okay?
Got to be football. Absolutely.
It's got to be football.
Got to be football. Yeah. Hey, you all created the word soccer. It's not us. So
I knew we'd get to play for it again.
Yeah, you guys did it. So and by the way, Rafa makes about twice what Roy makes. So the question is not just would Rafa come, but would the club double down on a coach, on a manager? I don't know. So
that's a valid point. In fact, other people made the same point in the chat.
Yeah. So
while we were talking, he earns whether we could afford him or not is another question.
Yeah. So well, thanks again. Chant is a company I started. It's an app. It's purposely built for supporters clubs. It's a company. It's really a family affair. You'll see my wife helping out, my 18-year-old son helping out. But what I've started to realize, and it's ironic we're hosting this on Facebook, is that I started talking to supporters clubs leaders, and a lot of them would frankly drop the F-bomb when they start talking about Facebook. They say, get me off of Facebook. And I thought, well, that's kind of in vogue to hate Facebook, but I'm not going to start a company based on that. And then they would say, well, only half of my members are on Facebook anymore, right? So people were kind of moving off, and they were really having trouble connecting. So I thought that was my in, and I started to build this platform and think of it maybe as a Facebook group, but the reality is that it's purpose built for supporters, right? So I think of Facebook as Facebook doesn't know it's match day, right? It doesn't know what VAR is. Of course, we'd all like to forget that, but so what I've essentially built is an app for supporters. You can have a leader. It doesn't have to be an official supporters club. Anybody could be red and blue that starts a group. You have a leader, and they bring their members on, and then it is purpose built. It knows it's match day. It has match predictions and player of the match voting. It has private chat for the group. And the reason I started reach out to Nick and started to hit up Premier League and Bundesliga groups is that I've now connected all of those private groups together. So there is what will become a Crystal Palace global chat, right? So it's just for supporters, just for the fans that are on the platform. It's not an open platform like Twitter where you're going to get a lot of people bombing you with comments. So it's www.chant.fan. I saw somebody threw the link to the app in there. I appreciate that.
Yep.
So my hope is to get maybe 10 Palace supporters groups on the platform, build some critical mass, and then go to the club and see if they'll roll it out globally. I actually have about 7 Liverpool groups on it now because they've started to join. Everton, I'm starting to get those groups on. I've got Bayern Munich and Dortmund. So starting to get more and more groups on it. I've got a bunch of MLS groups on it as well. But trying to create a platform for supporters and by supporters, and kind of move away from Facebook. The other thing that's kind of cool is in the chat, I can drop things in, since it's dedicated for football and it's not got all of your chats in there from all of different parts of your life. I can start to drop things in there, like stats from the last 5 matches or the upcoming match, polls about that. I can drop in match predictions and player of the match. So the chat becomes very specific to Crystal Palace, and it's only your members. So
I did notice that yesterday, folks out there on Red and Blue Review Facebook land, I downloaded that a few days ago, and I actually clicked onto it during the game live, and somebody's obviously hosting that absolutely live, because the score was right up to date and instantaneous. So is somebody actually hosting the platform as the games are going to take part?
So I've got a live feed. If you had seen me yesterday during the match, you would have seen me sweating profusely because I was having some problems with the feed provider. But yeah, I've got a team in India that's my developers. I've got a match feed for football specifically that's got live reviews. When you do player of the match voting, it's pulling live stats in to help you decide how you're going to vote. Of course, maybe we don't vote on stats. I heard somebody in the last one say that they think stats are rubbish. So maybe they are. But see, I have 1 week of history with you guys, so I can already make some inside jokes. So. But,
listen, and you're very welcome as well. I mean, it's really interesting because first of all, the app is so simple to use. Go to the App Store, just put in the word chant, and the app will come straight up. And make sure what are they going to do? Like the Red and Blue Review page? Is that the right terminology?
Yeah. So well, if anybody from this group wants to join, you would have Nick add you. He's the leader of this group, of the Red and Blue Review group on Chant, and so he would add your email in. He would pre-register you, and then that allows you to join. So it's really, I've kind of made it a private experience for that. There is a 6-digit code that you could pass out publicly, but I've kind of moved away from that. It's really more of an invite only type of thing at this point. Or if you're a member of a supporters club for Crystal or for any other club, you could be the English national team, or maybe you have some other, La Liga or some other club that you follow. So
fantastic.
So yeah, they would contact you.
I've got a couple of questions for you. Okay, and ladies and gentlemen, if you are interested in joining that, just message me in the comment section of the page now. Okay, during the show, I'll go back after the show and review them and add you in. Producer Lucy's just asked 2 very quite important questions. Is there an Android version of the app? Okay, and also, does it cost? Is there any cost?
Yeah, so thank you for the Android question. My background is actually from Google, so I worked at Google for 9 years. So absolutely, there's an Android version of the app. I would not have gone without it. So anybody that's on Android, you're kindred spirit. There is no cost. My original plan was to do something like subscription and try to stay away from a bunch of ads. My current thinking is that once I get critical mass, I'll actually go back to the club, go back to Crystal Palace themselves and say, hey, why don't you bring all of your worldwide supporters clubs on, make this a global platform. I've actually built some tools that they could drop things in, like giveaways or polls, and not see your private chats, but just manage it. So hopefully I'll eventually get the clubs to pay for it. But again, I heard 30 minutes ago that all the clubs have lost massive money this year, so maybe that won't happen either.
We're talking collectively. We're talking about trillions now. That's
exactly.
So I mean,
no fee. My goal is to get critical mass, is to get groups joining, and then we'll figure it out in 2022 how to pay for it. So.
I mean, it's a very interesting concept, because as a group, there's, as I said, I think I met when you and I would message each other. There's lots and lots of splinter Crystal Palace groups. Indeed, Nigel, who's above us talking, give us a wave, Nigel. Nigel runs his own group called the Northern Exiles Crystal Palace Supporters Group. There's lots and lots of splinter groups, but there's also worldwide. There's so many expats in. One of the other guys that was on just a minute ago, Tim, is in Christchurch in New Zealand. We've got lots of people in Australia, South Africa, all Palace fans, and it's my dream really to try and pull them all together under one umbrella. And if Chant gives us a platform to do that,
Yeah,
More
that
power to
actually,
you.
that's exactly. You all are the first group I've spoken to that's, well, most of you are local to the club. I actually have been going after the expat community first, and there's so many Brits here in the U.S. That feel homesick maybe, and they meet at the pub every Saturday morning just like you would back at home. And so that's who I've started to go after first, is to bring those, because that's a group of 25 or 50 or 200 people that would love to be connected together. So I think
New York Eagles is one of them.
That's right. Yep.
Again,
So,
I think I'm an admin on that group as well. So
yeah,
by all means, all power to you for that. Go on, before I let you go, one more time on the website.
Yeah, so the website is www.chant.fan. My email directly is tom@chant.fan. Email me and I'll set you up with a group and get you on, by the end of the day. And you can start inviting people and go from there. So
really interesting stuff. www.chant.fan.
And then I'll just beg forgiveness for using the word soccer from here on out. So
and it is a football page. It's not a soccer
say that
page.
word. Say that word again. That it's football. Okay. All right.
Yeah. You know how the Americans need certain things explained. This is a comic in the UK we use pavement. Over there, you need explaining sidewalk. You walk on the side of the road, okay?
I'll trash myself even more. I am American, but by family tradition, I'm Scots-Irish. So you can trash me either way you want to trash me.
Listen, it's been great having you on the show. Thank you for joining us, and full power to you, and good luck with the app. That's chant.fan.com, and give him a shout and get onto the Red and Blue review page. Tom, talk to you again soon. Good luck with it.
Thanks so much. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Thanks. Cheers. Good night. Ladies and gentlemen, I think what we're going to do there is very interesting sort of stuff. If you're interested, give me a shout. Drop your email address in the chat, and I'll add you to that group. I actually didn't realise I was hosting it, but apparently I'm hosting it. But that's not a problem. Harvey Jennings, how was your first experience?
Yeah, it was
how
good.
Was it for you?
Thank you for inviting me on. It's a shame that we had to that I had to come on after a game such as yesterday. Would have been nice to talk about a positive victory, but
it's funny you should say that, because we always close the show out now. Okay, we always close the show with a positive vibe. So Harvey Jennings, one positive from your generation, please. Give me a positive going forward.
Blimey, you put me on the spot here.
Something about, obviously Palace related. Give me a positive. New squad next season? New manager next season?
Europe next season. Why not?
Whoa! Good lad.
Go for it.
Nigel Croucher up in Geordie land. Give me a positive. Sorry.
Yeah. Well, the positive that's come tonight, Sheffield have lost 3-0 to Arsenal, which means they can't catch us.
They can't catch us now.
There's only two places. So that is one positive. But the negative is I had 2-0 in the prediction league.
You had what?
I had 2-0 in the prediction league. I can't
remember. Oh, talking about the prediction league, but I haven't mentioned Ian Lyons' prediction league. Ian Lyons is around. Gel's having a bit of a break because his bloody knees are playing up. But ladies and gentlemen, don't forget, Ian Lyons is going to be hosting, as he's done all season with the Premier League. He's going to be hosting, and I am saying this correctly, a Euro 2020. I didn't say 21. Euro 2020 prediction league going forward. If you want to be interested in that, also drop your name into the chat and let us know, because it is going to be called Euro 2020. That is right, Nigel, isn't it?
Yeah, I think Ian's got a video lined up to drop.
Okay, so
I think all details will be on that, and that'll drop on the page, I think, within a week or two.
As importantly in that, okay, we're also going to be carrying out the prediction league again next season. Harvey, why are you not in our prediction, in the main prediction league? I know you do loads of them. I know it's right your bag. Why are you not in the Red and Blue review one?
I think you'll find you've never invited me. So
I knew. How did I know I'd get blamed? I knew it'd be my bloody fault.
I'll tell you what. Invite me before the start of next season, and I'll join up. I'll join up next season. I'll do it every week.
And we'll send you a link for the Euro one as well.
Absolutely.
It's going to be obviously going to be short and sweet for the Euro one, but the Premier League one is really, really simple. 20 quid it was, okay, and there's cash prizes for manager of the month, and it's been going on all season, and it's been a laugh, okay. And I'm glad to announce, ladies and gentlemen, that currently Ian Lyons is not top of the tree. Congratulations, Liz. We know you're there. You've kicked him off. Long live the Queen. Long live the Queen. I think we're going to draw a line under it there, boys. Half, thank you for joining me, mate. You'll be welcome back anytime. Nigel, as always, you'll be the top side. Tim down in New Zealand. Tom in America. We'll talk about international, and of course, most importantly, Lucy Usher. Thank you for producing, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Nick Philpott. I'm delighted to have been your host. Please stay safe this week. Wear your mask, and we'll see you in a couple of weeks for the Leicester game. All the best to you. Good night, everybody. Thank you for joining us.
Good night. Cheers.